and not be able to afford groceries. I can't afford groceries.
So how bad really was my shopping addiction, besides the fact that it was all consuming all day, every day?
I am done saving money. Every time you put the money in your account.
I guess I got a little bit of sunburn today. I look red. So today we're going to be talking about consumerism and doom spending again, because apparently from recent statistics from the government, the GDP is up 3% and the consumers are doing well. Apparently we're all fine and there's no recession on the horizon and everything's going to be okay. Consumer spending isn't going up because everything costs more and people are going into more debt just to survive, or completely letting go and just doom spending their life away on anything that they like with no plans of the future, right? It's because everybody's doing good. We have so much to go over. We have news articles, we got statistics. We're going over several different types of doom spending that I've seen recently with some clips and comments from you guys. So leave your comments down below and I'll use them for future videos. And I also wanted to say real quick that I made a second channel for more short form content if you wanted to check that out. A lot of shorter videos with a single topic instead of more of the long form content you see on this channel. But we're just going to start off with some of the article headlines that have recently come out. The US economy grew 3% in the second quarter, faster than initially thought. I love the quote under the headline: "This economy is neither in a recession nor at risk of an imminent end to the current business cycle," one economist said. Who? I like how they didn't even name him. It was just like, yeah, some random economist said that, so we put it right under the headline. Everything's fine. This one guy said it. So here we have a little bit of the body. The US economy grew faster in the second quarter of 2024 than first reported, suggesting there was a little sign of the slowdown in the first 6 months of the year. And then it just goes into the GDP was at 3% instead of the initial estimate of 2.8. So apparently everything is okay now. Here we have some of the stats for consumer spending over the past couple months. April, 0.2% increase, 0.5, 0.3, and then 0.5 again, most recent data in July. However, if you check disposable income in the US, it is increasing by significantly less than the consumer spending has increased over the past few months. In July 2024, disposable income in the US has increased by 0.1%, even though the consumer spending went up by 0.5. The second consecutive month to grow. This was on a line of another 0.1% increase the previous month. Then you see the information from June of 2022. Now that 0.1% is actually a decrease from May of 2024, when it went from 0.3 down to 0.1. And then you could go back to the consumer spending statistics. People are spending more than their actual disposable income. So that turns into people just getting into debt. And now that could be taken several different ways. And a lot of people talk about doom spending. And I think that there's a lot more than just the one single version of doom spending that a lot of people know, where everybody's just buying random stuff off of Amazon and getting themselves into debt and they never care about their future, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I think a lot more people are getting into debt to pay for necessary items because there are less jobs to go around. Unemployment is increasing. We already talked about the 818,000 fewer jobs that were just overestimated by the government. Almost 1 million jobs less than what they actually believed. Then we could see a graph of unemployment. Now this chart seems pretty extreme. You could primarily look at the beginning of 2024. It's went from 3.5 to 4.3. And I mean, I hope that this chart is wrong, but you could see the projection all the way to 2025 jumps all the way to 4.9%, which would be really bad. But the 3.5 to 4.3 is locked in. That is what we're actually at right now, which is still really bad. You could see the increase in how quickly it was over the past several years with this graph. And because of this, we've seen more people start spending even more money, getting themselves into deeper and deeper debt for various scenarios, various different kinds of people. And we're going to be going over that in this video. And the first one I think is the most understandable. It's the people who genuinely need it, have to pay for housing, for groceries, and they don't have enough money, so they're putting it on their credit cards.
You know what sucks? Working full time and not be able to afford groceries. I can't afford groceries. I can't even afford gas to get to work. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't want to live like this anymore.
Okay, so I know that TikTok is very depressing, but the music was a little bit too much for me. But you get the gist of what she's trying to say. And even though this is somebody from Canada, as we've seen in a lot of the videos talking about issues all around the world, this is a global problem now. So this isn't just the US having issues with being able to pay bills or getting into debt, and this is happening worldwide, and there are several people who just can't make it anymore. And because of that, there's no choice other than to spend into oblivion, racking up all this debt on their credit cards just to survive, because what other option is there? It's better to be in debt than dead. But I don't know what people are complaining about. This NBC News headline says that we're all fine. Typical US worker out-earned inflation by $1,400 a year, data shows. So that must mean nobody's hurting now. We're actually making more than inflation. That has been an issue for years now. But it's okay, guys. GDP is up. Apparently we're outpacing inflation with all of our salaries, and there's no problems anymore. Now we have a couple comments from you guys that I thought was very interesting. I have a BA, and right now I'm working as a housekeeper, making $20 an hour, more than I've ever made in my 52 years. The college degree jobs never pay more than 12 to 13 an hour. Now, I thought that this was just a crazy outlier scenario, because to me that's unbelievably cheap, whether you have a degree or not. It's even worse that they do have a bachelor's. When I saw this comment, I was like, all right, maybe it's just a pretty tough situation. It's not really common. And then right after it, I see another comment from one of you guys. $24 an hour is incredibly low for anyone with a bachelor's degree. Well, crap, I have a bachelor's degree and only make about $20 an hour. So I guess that this was more of a problem than I thought it was, but it's okay. Again, this headline says we're outpacing inflation. We're making $1,400 more a year to out-earn it, and everybody's fine. Everybody on TikTok complaining is just lying. I think that this article headline was actually a very interesting effect of the problems people are having with paying for food. Soaring sausage sales, say that 5 times fast, could indicate economic turmoil as consumers turn away from costlier meats. Now, if you didn't know and you didn't eat sausage, sausage is kind of the worst part in a lot of other meats, like the undesirable parts of an animal, all put together in a casing, and overall is pretty gross. But I mean, depending on your opinion, either it's tasty or not, but generally cheaper than a lot of beef, a lot of chicken, turkey, the more popular meats, because it's kind of the reject parts of all the rest of the animals. And because of that and how cheap it is, the sales are going through the roof, because you can't afford how expensive certain cuts of beef especially, but a lot of meats and poultries have become. So definitely not a sign that the economy is doing too well right now. Now, the next type of doom spender we're going to be talking about is something that I've seen increasingly more often now, looking up videos on TikTok, and that is people who are legitimately shopping addicts. Now, at least for a while, I didn't think it was a thing. I thought it was just somebody who shopped way too much and wasn't good at budgeting and putting themselves into debt, but there are more and more videos I'll see all the time. At least a few years ago, this was encouraged by the government during COVID. They didn't want the economy to collapse, so they pumped everything full of money. People were making money in the stock market, in real estate. Tons of people were able to work from home, which made their lives even better. And online shopping absolutely blew up. You could click a couple buttons on your phone, and the next day you get your order from Amazon. And as crazy as this sounds, that turned a lot of people into addicts, constantly getting that dopamine hit every day. There's some new package of a product or some sort of item that they bought online, and just buy over and over again. And now that times are tough, most of those people who did get addicted are taking more of a toll on their finances and putting themselves into massive amounts of debt.
So how bad really was my shopping addiction, besides the fact that it was all consuming all day, every day? In 2022, at the end of the year, I knew my behavior had gotten out of control. So I created a spreadsheet of every single item that I had purchased. I totaled it up. It was around $30,000, and it was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. So I was grossed out by this, and I was like, I'm going to change my behavior. I'm going to tackle this shopping addiction in 2023, and that did not happen. Things ended up going completely the opposite direction. To give you an example of how insane it was, I was not really a belt girl before 2023. And then I decided one day that I was going to be a belt girl. And so I purchased 7 belts. 7. Here they are. I even bought a container for them in 2023. And these are not like cheap belts. I would say the cheapest one I got on sale for $80. It's from Dehance, I hope I pronounced that correctly. The most expensive one I have is this Kate belt, which was $400 with tax. And it's just like, this is not normal. Like, a normal person doesn't buy 7 belts in 1 year. So obviously I could go into so much detail around it. I mean, the fact that I ended 2022 with more savings than I did in 2023, despite making more money in 2023, just like tells you how much money I was spending on clothes. And it really just got out of control. And so I did create a spreadsheet of all the clothes that I own in my closet. And basically I was like, I want to know what the value of my closet is. And here's a spreadsheet. So this is a insight of everything that I own, everything that it costs, and the total.
So that one single person alone had over $60,000 worth of clothes in their closet. And unfortunately, even with her realizing how bad of a situation she's put herself in, that money can't really be recuperated, at least not most of it. Because as I've said before, I am a full-time reseller. I used to do a lot of the shoes and the Jordans, but then I switched over to clothing, and even very, very expensive super high MSRP items on the secondhand market like eBay will go for significantly less. So it's not like the $400 belt that she bought. She can't sell that for $400. It's going to be worth a lot less. So there's a lot of money lost right there alone. And the comments aren't really much better. Okay, so what else are we doing? Like, what else is fun like clothes are? I need a new hobby. So her hobby is to just consume nonstop clothing. I mean, I'm clearly not somebody who's very into fashion, but I don't think too many people who have buying clothes as a hobby are genuinely somebody who's into fashion and wants to be a model or a designer. It's just buying something new, buying something that's cute, and then barely wearing it, and it just goes into the closet. And then another article of clothing comes in, and another, and the cycle just keeps getting worse. I think this is meant for me because I didn't even bat an eye at $30,000. And then we have somebody reasonable in the comments on the other side of the argument. As a thrifter, I'm shocked at the prices of those belts. I would definitely buy 7 belts in 1 year, but they would be like $5 each. And I think COVID has made it worse because there, of course, are people who have been addicted to shopping when they go to malls and they go to Nordstrom, and you could see all of these stores and these boutiques and get a whole bunch of clothes and be able to walk around all day. It is like something to do, but at least you have to make the effort to actually go to the mall or go to the store and walk around all day. Now you don't even have to do that. You could just grab your phone, and within a couple clicks, Amazon will have your pair of jeans or whatever delivered to you at like 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. And because of it, we've gotten extreme clips like this.
My budget for next month is $200. I spent it last night doom scrolling. Oh my God. I woke up this morning. I thought it was a literal nightmare. I was like, wow, did I actually spend money on 4 pairs of parachute pants? Yeah, I did. Thought it was a fever dream. Like last night I was sleeping so good and I woke up randomly and I was like, what to do, online shop. Great, I did. And apparently I did well.
There has to be a lot of shopping going on if your first thought, if you wake up in the middle of the night, is to just online shop. It sounds like it's satirical. It doesn't sound serious, but people are just like this. And because of that, just getting into massive amounts of debt. Here we have a couple comments that I liked because it's on both sides. She's nice, but what I really love about her is her Coach bag. Said no man ever. Because I know that there's a whole bunch of people that will buy clothes because they say that they love it, but a lot of it is to just get attention from other people. Whether it's a guy or a girl, you want your friends to say, oh, that's a nice outfit. Or you want a guy to think you're attractive, because especially when you start getting into the luxury, we've already made a video previously about it. If you see somebody walking around with like a Louis Vuitton bag, especially something recent, the quality has tanked with those types of items. So it's not like, oh, I'm paying $1,000 because I'm going to have this purse forever. It is very low quality materials. It's just for the monogram, and it's just to show off how expensive it is and how much you paid for a luxury bag. So if anything, whenever I see that kind of stuff out in public, I think if anything, they're most likely more of an issue than somebody with a normal purse. And then we could go right on the opposite side, which we've talked about with cars. That comment from the guy thinking that you need some hot rod to impress women is kind of a self-report that you don't really talk to women at all. women really don't care. And that was me saying something, especially with men around my age who will spend stupid amounts of money on a car just to try to impress a woman. You'll most likely just attract other guys who are interested in cars and they'll ask you questions about it. Very few women will care about it. And to the select few that actually do care, it's some sort of gold digger, so that situation's not going to end well for you anyway. But I did like that both of these comments showed what both sides actually think. Real quick, we could go through this one that is another shopping addict. 27 years old, paying off $30,000 in credit card debt. What she has spent in 1 week. You have to realize this is a week's worth of spending, not a month. 58 for a city card, 624 towards my Amazon credit card, which is dangerous right there. If you have an Amazon credit card, then that means you sit on Amazon for quite a while. 358 to my brother for a loan, I guess. 25 for a gym that I don't use, 41 on takeout, 64 on groceries, and 157 on gas. That's $600 a month on gas. That's rough. 144 on non-food grocery items like cat food and chicken food, which sounds crazy expensive to me too. But the one that's probably the worst, 624 on clothing from Amazon, Target, Walmart, and Gap. Once I came to my senses and realized how ridiculous that was, I plan to return 99% of the items I purchased, which is a good thing because that's $2,500 a month if you did this every single week on just clothes. But in total in 1 week, $2,000. That's $8,000 a month if you kept this up every single week. At least, like she said, I will be getting some back when I return the clothes this week, but writing this out is painful. And just looking on some news websites, they don't care at all. You'll still get articles and ads like these all the time. The 129, very odd number, but very best Labor Day sales to shop before they're over. So you got to do it now. Deals from Apple, SolarWave, I've never heard of that, Casper and Shark, and more end tonight. So make sure you add them to your cart and check out before it's too late. So we're going to move on past all the shopping stuff and we're going into the people who doom spend because they did everything they were supposed to do. They went to college and got a good degree, just like all the counselors and their parents and all their teachers said, and they were a compliant student all of their life, just so they could get a piece of the American dream. And now they can't find a job, or if they do, they're getting lowballed into oblivion, while at the same time the average new car price is almost $50,000 and the average home price is over $400,000. So people are just feeling hopeless.
I am done saving money. Every time you put the money in your account, it leaves your account. Bills are due. Your car needs to be repaired. Your rent is due. You have to buy groceries. It just literally never ends. It's crazy to me that not only are we expected to work every single day of our lives, but we're also expected to have a healthy savings account. Who is saving their money these days? Don't get me wrong. If I had the ability to have a fat savings account, I would. But saving just means that there's so many sacrifices that we have to make. Going out to eat, forget about that. Getting coffee every day, forget about that. If we die tomorrow and we haven't been treating ourselves, what the heck is the point? I think I'm entering my treat yourself era. I don't think I could be stopped. Are you team saving money or are you team treating yourself?
So this particular video confused me a little bit because if you see her name, it's Finance with Bella, but then she makes an entire video saying that she's not saving money anymore. She tried to do everything and it's just not working out, so I guess she's just turning into doing whatever she wants. Maybe it's satire, but it seems like a pretty serious video. I'm just not sure. We have another comment from one of you guys. I know a guy who put a literal boat on a credit card. He also lives in a trailer and has a new pickup truck that's actually falling apart, and now he can't afford to fix it. He eats out 3 meals a day as well. And I think we've seen a good amount of those people on my credit card debt videos, but I have also started seeing a little bit of comedy come out of this, like this clip talking about a house that this woman could afford.
Come with me to look at a house in my price range. So this is the kitchen, brand new oven, brand new countertops, nice cabinets. This is the living space, the living room, dining room combination. Not too much work needing to be done here. This is the bedroom on the first floor. There is 3 total bedrooms. This is one upstairs. This one was decent. This one's the basement. Washer and dryer, a little bit of mold.
We have some comments from this video. 500K, take it or leave it. No lowballers, I know what I have. Just spent $200,000 on a house that's 135 years old. Wow. Felt this in my bones. I'm 28 and this is out of my price range. Another one of the recent headlines I've seen, 6 ways to get a mortgage if you don't meet income requirements, because that has become all too common nowadays. What that really means to me is that this article is a way for you to game the system and actually get a mortgage on a house that you can't really afford, and then eventually just foreclose on it because you can't afford that house. Even though it does suck, probably wouldn't try to find loopholes if you don't meet the income requirements, because it's not like the monthly mortgage is the only expense you're going to have in a house. And if you could barely make that, if anything goes wrong in the house whatsoever, any of the utility bills, of course, all of your internet, possible HOA fees, basic upkeep is going to be way more than a mortgage. So if you're looking up articles of different ways you could get a mortgage without actually making enough money to afford the house, you're kind of destined to fail at that point and eventually just get foreclosed on. And the last one we're talking about is the classic doom spender that we all know and hate. These are the people who don't care at all. Some of them, I guess, think that the world is going to end and nothing matters, so they're going to buy every little thing that brings them the slightest amount of joy. Even if they can't afford it, they're going to dig themselves into a deep enough hole and then eventually just declare bankruptcy and repeat the cycle over and over again. We have another comment from my doom spending video a while ago when I was talking about this particular person who was just making a video mocking doom spending, and I said that these were the type of people to abuse any of the government resources just so they don't have to work. They could get free money, free food. The point about Section 8 housing is so true. Those resources are supposed to be allocated to folks going through real hardships, and sometimes the wait times for welfare benefits can be long because so many people are trying to access them. Then you have Zoomers who waste all of their paychecks on tattoos, and plushies are such a waste of food stamps. And there are many, many videos you could see on TikTok that have people like this and they just don't care. They use excuses like the government being in massive amounts of debt. It's okay that I could just spend my way into bankruptcy, and overall making a lot of other people's lives worse, especially for people taking advantage of food stamps and Section 8. There was somebody specifically on TikTok who was doing just that. They had several kids and they basically boast about how they were getting, I believe, $3,000 a month from the government, and she never wanted to get a job. She said that she wasn't going to. She was going to use all of the benefits she could possibly get to do whatever she wanted and just sit on the phone and make TikToks all day and waste their life away. Now we have one that is doom spending in a very different context. I don't think a lot of people have talked about, but I did see some articles talking about the great wealth transfer. And a lot of the people who are the boomer generation are actually not leaving any inheritance for their generations below them. If you're expecting a life-changing windfall when your boomer parents die, take heed. Only 1/5 of the me generation expects to leave an inheritance. Many young adults are pinning their hopes on the great wealth transfer, a generational exchange of riches that could pass 90 trillion from boomers to their heirs over the next 20 years. But many boomers have other plans. The study found that 38% of Gen Z and 32% of millennials expect inheritance money or assets, but only 22% of boomers said they expect to leave an inheritance. A lot of older people are basically saying, I've done my due. I've heard people basically saying, I don't want your financial plan to be my death. So I could see this both ways. I know a lot of people around my generation say that the older generation had it much easier. Even though they didn't have the internet, the price of a lot of things are much cheaper than it is today. But banking on the older generation to die and then their inheritance shouldn't be your financial plan for your life. It seems very odd, almost morbid to think about it in that way. But at the same time, at least for me and my opinion, my entire goal in life right now is to make as much money as humanly possible to be able to both retire myself and my parents. So my only thought is to leave inheritance for my family. So that's just the way that I'm wired. But I think, as you could see in a lot of clips of gambling halls, there are just tons of old people gambling away all the money that they've earned in life for entertainment, even though you know, the point of gambling is to make more money, at least the normal consumer in casinos. But that clearly is not the case. Most of the time you're just burning money and giving it right to the casino owners. Yeah, this whole situation is a mess, and I know that there are people who would argue on both sides of this. But when the godfather of investing himself, Warren Buffett, can't even get it correct in the minds of consumers, you know that it's probably pretty bad.
The economy is so warped right now that it's even burning billionaire Warren Buffett because it's violating all kinds of traditional recession rules. You see, typically during recession and downturn, customers tend to start buying a lot of small, affordable luxuries, things like chocolate and makeup. There's even a theory around this called the lipstick index, which shows that generally around times of recession, sales of things like lipstick tend to pick up. The lipstick index is the reason that Warren Buffett made a $266 million bet in Ulta Beauty stock. He was thinking that because the economy isn't doing so well, its stock should go up as consumers start to buy more lipstick and cosmetic products. But Warren Buffett was wrong, and he underestimated just how value-conscious consumers are right now. Ulta Beauty reported their earnings a few days after he acquired the stock, and they missed all profit and revenue expectations, and the stock crashed. Now, Warren might have seen this coming if he examined sales of other luxury items like chocolate. Take Hershey's, for example, whose sales are down. What this really shows us is that the economy is so bad that people cannot afford the types of luxuries they might normally buy during a downturn. It's just too expensive, so they're not doing it. And that's why Buffett got burned.
And this isn't the only company. Lululemon, Dollar General is another big one that has taken a hit. Abercrombie and Fitch, I could almost never say that correctly, but there are a lot of companies like this that have seen consumer spending go way down, even though the GDP is up, right? It's 3%, it's past expectations. So it's just really not looking good at all. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.